So after using Steam for many years, I honestly can't name you a Steam curator I take seriously when I want to go and purchase a new video game. It seems every Steam curator is either a landing page for game journalists or some type of joke. And my personal favorite of them all is Darth Vader. He is literally some of the top Steam curators on Steam with 93,000 followers under the name No, I Am Your Father, with the same Darth Vader profile picture, iconic scene, everything.
I am your father.
And he stays in character, which is very surprising, where all his reviews is nothing but recommended, I am your father, Luke, join me. And he has no not recommended, no informationals, nothing but recommended with the same exact quote. It gets even funnier when you realize that people take Darth Vader more seriously as a Steam curator than Metacritic. This isn't the only joke account. There's an even much larger joke account that nobody would have known or cared about if it wasn't for some people getting extremely butthurt about this so easily. It's the Sweet Baby Ink Detected list. Then all the pieces of a much larger puzzle came together. The Steam Curator feature is Steam's most useless feature, which made me wonder, why did Valve even add this feature in the first place? This goes all the way back to September 22nd, 2014, when Valve released a Steam Discovery update. At the time, the platform was starting to get flooded with over 1,300 new titles in over 9 months and 100 million active accounts. With so many games getting released to the Steam platform and the controversial asset flips starting to pop up,
The plane's flying fucking sideways! The plane isn't even flying the right fucking way! Why? Why is this a game?
this game alone got Valve into a ton of trouble, which was released 1 month after this announcement. But even before this announcement, a ton of games like these was popping up all over the place on the Steam store. Valve wanted to add curators as a way to help people be able to find the games that they want to be interested in playing. Or as Alden Kroll of Valve says, this update introduces multiple features and functionality to help customers explore Steam's growing catalog. You followed a curator and then their picks showed up on your homepage, just kind of like a connoisseur of video games. That way you don't have to dig through all the reviews and you get a massive filter just from all the new games that is getting flooded onto Steam at the time. And then you hit at 2015, 2,800 games also got launched. Up to 2025 now, the Steam store gets flooded with 21,000 games getting released. It seems that the Steam Curator feature is even more important now than ever. But Valve still decided to almost kill this feature, essentially. By 2016, curators no longer appeared on store pages by default. Then in 2019, Valve moved to an interactive recommender powered by AI that is driven by what players do, not tags or reviews anymore. This is trained on millions of users and billions of play sessions. It's Valve's answer to discovery. And curators, they became even less useful in 2019 at this point. The Steam store got flooded with so many games that it's just impossible for a human to actually curate through all that stuff. So Valve decided to double down on using AI even more as a form of curation instead of having these community-ran curators. So in 2026, they not only just updated the design, and they made updates to the featured and recommended, where this time you now have a detailed information highlighting the reason a game is being recommended to you. They're also using Wishlists as a way to also filter. They also added the personalized calendar, where it gives you a quick and new way to see upcoming games that is recommended based on what you play. Inside of the personal calendar, that's where they put the more niche recommendations. And the popular upcoming now has actual overall most anticipated releases out there going on in Steam. And if the consumer doesn't like how they have it, just with the algorithmic recommendation, they do tell you how you can personalize it with what you see on the store. You can adjust your store preferences, follow certain game developers, or simply just ignoring individual games or tags. Steam curators essentially no longer exist. The curators of video games now is the gamer, and the AI algorithms that they can adjust and customize to their preferences. This is nice for both AAA and indie game developers because now, just like with YouTube videos, any game can go viral on Steam now. You no longer have to have 5,000 plus wish lists or a certain amount and get completely ghosted by the entire algorithm. Now Valve, they still didn't delete the feature, but in practice, they routed around it completely. And the best curators, they didn't go to Steam to be able to leave their curating lists. They went to YouTube because creators got paid directly. The financial incentive alone makes it so that the best curators are able to keep curating because there's so many games on Steam, and just having that filter takes a massive amount of time for a curator to actually be able to come to a conclusion, okay, is this a good game or not? I'm not talking about those game journalists who aren't able to finish a Cuphead tutorial. I'm talking about actual gamers who, when they actually have a review, they talk about gameplay, unlike IGN. That mixtape review that they made with a 10 out of 10 still bothers me to this day. That's not a video game. And YouTubers, they're able to actually do a much better job for helping consumers curate the video games that they want to play, because you actually get to see the game running, you get to see the story mode, you get to see the gameplay, and see how things function.
Oh, the sounds, I don't like them. No! I tried to push it!
It's kind of like a try before you buy without the cost of piracy and risking your entire computer. This eventually blossomed into its own ecosystem where each creator owns a niche. For example, if you want indie games, you go to Indie Game Joe. If you want horror games, you go to Markiplier.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome to Five Nights at Freddy's, an indie horror game that you guys suggested en masse, and I saw that Yamimash played it and he said it was really, really good.
He still covers him if you're still able to get his attention somehow. And not only that, unlike Steam Curators, there's actually data that proven that, hey, these people actually drive wish lists and sales for video games. This is why even Nintendo, a company that clutches its pearls at any use of its IP.
I used to have a video on installing Android on the Nintendo Switch, which got taken down by YouTube multiple times. And it didn't get taken down multiple times because I kept re-uploading it. It got taken down multiple times because every time it got taken down, I would submit an appeal, YouTube would side with me, say, oops, yeah, sorry, that was a mistake, and then reinstate the video themselves.
Even Nintendo relaxes a little bit the moment content creators start playing their video games and releasing gameplay onto YouTube and other streaming platforms. This changed the marketing strategy from normal organic ads and going to game journalists into trying to build a relationship and roster of creators to cover your video games. Now, Valve, they did try to make curators more like YouTube by allowing like videos and other things like that, but Valve wasn't going to stop clutching their pearls about the 30% cut that they take to like at least siphon off a tiny bit so that Steam Curators would at least make a tiny bit of money from actually like doing their job curating well, which I think if they actually were paid money for it, people would take it more seriously and you wouldn't see Darth Vader become some of the top Steam Curator accounts. YouTube also has far more reach compared to Steam Curation, which means people are also going to be more likely to care about what a curator thinks on YouTube compared to Steam. Just to put in a little bit of context, YouTube has billions of users every single month. Meanwhile, Steam, every single month, they have hundreds of millions. It's not even close. YouTube has far more reach. And when you have both a lot more reach and money from content creators doing YouTube for curation instead of Steam Curators who don't get any money or nearly as much reach, it shouldn't be a surprise that they won out in the end. So not only Steam Curators got replaced by AI, they also got replaced by other platforms like YouTube. There's not only incentives for gamers to not care about Steam Curators, but also for game developers too. They don't care about Steam Curators for a good reason. There isn't any conclusive proof that Steam Curators actually increase sales or wishlists compared to content creators. But in the past, game developers still sent free Steam keys anyways, just in case if it did. This used to be a common practice until over time, game developers learned that a lot of these Steam Curators, they're just scammers who take these free Steam keys and just resell it on a gray market website. A big gray market website is G2A, but that's its own video just to cover the allegations associated with the whole gray market in general. This is why I think the Steam Curator is the most useless feature on Steam, and I would not be surprised if Valve decides to remove the feature in another update down the road. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you know when the next video comes out.